This is the Astros Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Houston Astros, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Tough end to what was a good weekend overall for the Houston Astros as they dropped the series finale tonight to the San Diego Padres as the bats go back to reverting to ice cold. Nothing from them overall tonight. Pretty good pitching overall, but not enough pitching when the bats can't do anything. And what do you know? You go ahead and drop the series finale. Never fun to do that, especially when you have a sweep in sight, but they found their way at least to getting that victory. The series victory, I should say, against a very good baseball team. What is the best team in baseball so far this season in those San Diego Padres. Hello and welcome tonight to the Locked On Astros Postcast. I'm sorry, I might just start sneezing here in a minute. I can feel it on the tip of my nose, and it's just, hey, that's how we want to start the show. I'm your host, Michael Connor. Appreciate you guys for stopping by and watching tonight. As always, make sure you're here after the games. We're with you breaking down what we see out there between the Astros and whoever they're taking on that night. And tonight, again, the San Diego Padres. The Astros will now, of course, welcome the Toronto Blue Jays to town for 3 more here on this homestand. So far, so good, again, in terms of the having a winning homestand at this point. But they do need to get some things going as the persistent issues for this team do continue to pop up. The number one thing we will get into here in just a minute. This episode tonight, by the way, is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So what are you going to be talking about from this one? Well, I'll tell you this.
This is what you'll be talking about.
It's the lack of offense, once again. It's the lack of being too dangerous at the plate. To me, I think when you go back and you look at these games that they've lost so far this season, when you have these kind of games, look, we are at the point now, the Astros are 10-11 on the season after the loss tonight. 21 games into the season. After he had a full spring slate, I think you can make the argument that, yes, the Astros probably, like a lot of teams, don't play their players, their starters enough in spring training. You see some of these guys get off to horrid starts. That's not the only reason they're off to bad starts. There's a lot of reasons that you and I can't quantify necessarily. But, when you just run through the lineup right now, and you look at the big boys, right? Yordan Alvarez has had, I think it's fair to say, the worst start he's ever had through 21 games. 206. Drives in a run tonight with the sac fly. That was a good at bat to do that. But he's been terrible. Jeremy Pena has been hitting the ball hard, but it's not like he's having incredible results. Look, when I'm talking bad offense, and here's the thing. I'm not trying to single the player out every single time that you go out there. Christian Walker is a big, fat, huge negative. I know that he had the big hit last night. But for the most part, I shouldn't say for the most part, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, he is the biggest black hole that this team has. Another night where he goes out and goes over and strikes out 3 times, and he is the easiest out on the team. You knew that Martin Maldonado would strike in this series, and look at how they pitched Christian Walker tonight. I'm going to try and pull up each individual at bat here, but he swung at nothing but junk balls all night long. That was it. Let's look at his first at bat. His first at bat against Dylan Cease took a ball on a sinker, took a ball on a slider, swinging strike on a slider, fouled off a fastball. Then they went slider, knuckle curve, slider for the strikeout. That was his first at bat of the game there in the bottom of the second. We'll move now to his next at bat where it was, strikes out swinging again, knuckle curve, slider, 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 slider. Oh, wait, slider to strike out swinging. All right, let's see if the trend continues for Christian Walker. later in the baseball game in his next at bat where he strikes out for the third consecutive time. Fastball, sinker, changeup. Okay? Half of it was off speed. And then the final at bat for Christian Walker was he popped out on a slider. He is the easiest out in the Astros lineup right now. And I know that they've slid him down to the 5-hole. Here's the problem. I would love to see the Astros slide him further down the lineup, but who do you replace him with? Who do you slide up in this lineup to play? I don't have an answer. I don't. You can't get too cocky with playing Cam Smith too high. He's not been unbelievable, but he's been far better at the plate than Christian Walker has this year. Look, Jake Myers, or as we like to call him now, Rake Myers, he continues to mash. But we can all live in reality here. You don't want to live in a world where Jake Myers is hitting 4th or 5th in the lineup. That would be a huge problem. I'm sure he's going to find a way to play better baseball and to not be so terrible. But I'm just telling you, 21 games into the season, I personally am exhausted watching the guy. And you think about it, and it freaks you out because it's a $60 million contract for 3 years for a first baseman. And they're just coming off of one of those contracts for another first baseman. Doesn't make you feel great, right? I understand. And not to say that Christian Walker's the only reason tonight that the Astros lost, but I think we've just reached that point where we have to acknowledge what is going on out there. And what is going on out there is that Christian Walker has been absolutely atrocious. And he's been a huge, big, fat negative for this baseball team on most nights. And I am tired of watching it every single night. Sit him down for a few days. Play Caratini at first base. Play DeZenzo for a couple days. Just get the guy off the field. He's clearly in his own head half the time. I think part of the reason why I get so annoyed with him is he strikes out and he just does this slow walk back to the dugout with just this stare on his face. Like, I'm telling you, he needs to loosen up. It is not good. And they need to loosen up as a team. I mean, you just go look through the rest of the results. I mean, they lost for this reason. They had 7 hits. They had 2 runs. Guess what you're not going to do very often when you score 2 runs? You're not going to win. Shocking, right? I know. New revelation here on the Locked On Astros Postcast. You won't win games if you only score 2 runs. You come here for that biting analysis. But man, they as an offensive unit, and this is a good weekend. Again, taking 2 out of 3. They take last night 3-2, 6-4 on Friday. Even though they had a good weekend, it's still, and I think it's completely okay to acknowledge when it's going on. They're a hard watch at the plate. They're a very difficult watch. And I'm like all of you, I go into each night hoping that, hey, this is the night where it clicks. Hey, this is the night where somebody gets going here. This is the night where somebody else gets going there. And maybe it ignites the team. And, there's that snowball effect offensively where they start to put up numbers that maybe you expected them to put up throughout the season. And that they probably expect out of themselves. But they're not anything like that right now. At all. Just not. Hope that changes quickly. Because I like watching teams that can hit. Don't we all? I don't want to pay myself through a season of, the Astros have to go shut out an opponent every night to win a game, and then they go do it. And then there's nights where they pitch, again, overall, pretty darn well tonight. Let's talk about the pitching when we return. Let's look ahead to the Blue Jays series as well here on the Locked On Astros Postcast. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out and online shopping and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just, managing your money and start building wealth. It's pretty darn cool, this app. It's all-in-one convenience. Like I mentioned, instead of juggling those multiple apps, you can use Monarch Money to check your finances, track that spending, and even plan your long-term goals. And managing your money now with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Astros fall to the Padres tonight. Still end up taking 2 out of 3 this weekend. But tonight, a night where the Bats did not do their thing, and they lose this one by a final of 3-2. Welcome back. This is the Locked On Astros Postcast. I am your host, Mike O'Connor. If you want more from me in just a bit, thanks for hanging out there a few minutes after the game ended. I am pulling double duty tonight. Head over to the Locked On Sports Houston YouTube page. Hit subscribe there. Locked On Rockets Postcast after game 1 of the playoffs tonight against the Golden State Warriors will be live. I waited until halftime hit because it was timing up just about right. Halftime is going on right now for Rockets and Warriors. As we're doing this, Rockets are down. Hopefully that turns around. I can't take 2 losses in one night. I just can't. I can't have the state of California winning 2 games against our Houston teams tonight. But I'll be live after that game ends here in just a bit as well. So make sure you join me later on over there once we get done. Get out of here. Go watch the second half with me. And then come join me after the game ends over there. What tonight was, or who was the player of the game? I'll tell you.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
It's almost a task to try to put together player of the game for this baseball team on a consistent basis because they don't have, like we talked about, offensively guys that have stood out. I could give it to Fromber tonight. I mean, he gave you a quality start, right? 6 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks. Had to work through a lot of traffic. I think had 2 or 3, or maybe 3 double plays. It won't be Taylor Scott who gave the jack to Fernando Tatis. Could give it to Okert, Van Way, or Brian King. My dog Brian King bouncing back. Good to see. But I think tonight, I mentioned him earlier. He's honestly one of the only guys that's doing anything at the plate this year, and that's incredible, and it's also not a good sign. Jake Myers has been really good this year. Another 2-hit night tonight. He's hitting .305 on the early season. He's got 5 runs batted in, .354 on base. Stolen 7 bases so far this year, .727 OPS. I'm not asking him to keep up a .305 average all year because I know he's not going to do that. But what I am asking is to continue to look like maybe there's some progress here. And if that continues, that's found money for this Astros team this year. That's a good thing. So Jake Myers, props to you, buddy. Had the 2 hits, the only Astro with multiple hits in the game, and he takes home our player of the game. Now the Astros are going to turn right back around. They're going to play again tomorrow night on a City Connect night. They will have they're great uniforms. Let's hope they play as well in them as they look in them because they look fantastic in those uniforms. But they're going to take on the Toronto Blue Jays tomorrow night. And that's a team that comes in that, like many of the teams that the Astros have lined up against so far this season, when you go back and look at it, you feel like you got a chance against that team. They're 12-10 so far this year. They're kind of blah in recent play. It's early in the season. They've got a losing record on the road, but, your pitching should be able to do a number if you just don't give up bombs to Vlad Guerrero Jr., you think. Or let the revenge George Springer happen, which last time I checked, he was off to a good start this season. Excuse me. Oh, I missed the mute button. I'm sorry. It happened. I've been fighting it off the whole show, and it finally happened. Tomorrow, though, Hunter Brown, Kevin Gausman. we all know that Hunter Brown should be absolutely fantastic out there. Gossman's tough. Be interesting to see how they fare against him. An offense that hadn't done anything. Tuesday's not looking great on paper. Now, it's a guy that the Astros have done very well against in the past, but Ronel Blanco up against Chris Bassett. Bassett is off to a tremendous start to this season. He's got an ERA under 1. And then Wednesday, they'll finish it off a little bit earlier, 6:40. Ryan Gusto against Bowden Francis in that one. As always, when the games finish, we'll be live with you after they wrap up. Make sure that you come back and do that. Make sure that you join me here in just a bit for the Locked On Rockets postcast after, please, hopefully, a win. Second half getting ready to get started now. You guys have a great rest of the Sunday night. And again, talk to you on a bit over on the Locked On Sports Houston page for Rockets.